and we're ready to take up where we left off. I'll zoom in on the painting and we will get started here momentarily. Okay, so we've finished off the roof pretty much, the background trees, this roof of this gazebo that's over a small wishing well type of structure. And so now we're ready to work on some more buildings. I'm still using my flat 1/2-inch brush. And I've got this big building over on the right side that's actually got some interesting highlights on the inside of it, underneath it. So let's get started. And I will use some of these same colors. I'm going to use this, my neutral tint, and similar color to the front of this building here. It's got a little red in it, got a little purple in it. So I'm going to start at the top, see if I can get it to look right here. Start way over here like this. It's a little too dark, but you can always lighten it up, change the color. It will dry considerably lighter. So I'll just do that. A few more red streaks in it. Take some water and sort of blend it. Get some nice soft textures, some nice soft colors. Some nice grays in here. Okay, let's see, I want to get some reddish color at the top of this here. Something more like that. Okay. Good old burnt sienna never fails to give me a nice reddish brown. Something like that. Put in a little more of this raw sienna, which is a lighter, more transparent brown. Didn't look like it changed much. So I'll see if I can do this. So I'm just sort of varying the colors in here, putting in dabs here and there, pulling it down to make it look like the old face of an old building. And I'm sort of painting around this archway. And it doesn't have to be perfect, as a matter of fact. It has a little more interest if it's not perfect. So we will move down here. It gets a little more bluish. Let me get a little more blue in there. Yeah, something like this. Don't want that blue to be the only spot I have it, so I'm going to put a couple spots up above. Okay, clear water. And pull it down. And soften that up there a little bit. Okay. Starting to look like I want it. Okay, this little post here, the first post. Some dark edges on top. The next post has a few dark edges, so I might as well paint it while I'm here. Get some this brownish color. Paint underneath it. Put this down like this. I'll come back and put a shadow over that a little later. But I want to sort of change colors as we go down. everything you can think of, if you can think of it. Make it change colors. This down here is going to have some more painting negatively around these shapes. Not a lot, just enough to, I can put some green in there to look like it overlaps that particular post. A little too hard of edge here. I'm going to lighten that up. All right, let's see. I want to get some grayish color on this side back here. As it goes out of the light, it should be a little darker. Something like this. Then second post, actually what I have here is I actually have some of that green that actually shows up in a little sliver right in here. This is some of the tree color from the back. So I'm probably going to use my round brush in a little bit to put that in, but I want to get the post in first. Let me get some more of this purple out. I think this ultraviolet, ultraviolet is a good color for shadows and for some of this masonry work that's in the shadows back here, more in the shadows. It's probably a little too purple. So we go back and just put a little color over the top of it, change the color. Come down here, and we got another set of grasses and bushes to paint around. Okay, so that's the bottom of that one. Let's back up here. I think we had a little more purple in this one now. Now they start to actually overlap to the point where there's no grass in between. So what color do I want? I want a light color because I want to come back and put some shadows on top of this. So I'm going to keep it fairly light. This will dry lighter. Purples. But it is getting back inside closer. Oops, I should not have touched that, but that's okay. Maybe that will be a happy accident. Some more purples, a purplish color. So we get these beams. Then it starts flattening out because we're actually having the concrete walkway back there. Doesn't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I don't want it to be so stand out so much that the eye goes back there. I want the eye to be able to go there, but I really want the eye to go in this area here first and then move around the painting this way and back around the painting that way. So hopefully if this finishes up the way I want it to, that's what it will look like. Let's see, actually, I got some. Now here's where we need a fairly straight edge because this is actually a corner of the building back there, inside the building. So I'll just leave it like that. Come back and get some more here of this color, and this is fairly dark because it is on the inside. Paint around these little. Oh, you see what I'm doing? Should have painted top to bottom. I painted those posts in before I got over here. All of a sudden, get my hand in it. which is not a good thing. Okay, that's pretty close. Okay. All right, that's starting to look like the back end of this building here, sort of a portico, I guess you would call it. Touch up where I messed it up. Okay. So that's sort of giving it some texture back in there. The ceiling of that area is going to be a little warmer. Pull out a little bit of my cad red back here and put back in this mixture. See if I can get a sort of a reddish, rusty color back here. Maybe something like this. It's probably too light, but I can always darken it. Touch it there, okay. All right, at least you can start seeing the framework of a room back there, or at least this area that's a room. All right, now I'm going to come back and do some of this work here. Or do I? Let me see. Let me think about this here. Okay. That needs to be darker. So maybe I'll come back with this little brush and start touching in some more. Okay, so it's darker at the top, lighter at the bottom. This has got a nice color on it. I need to make it a little darker, so I'll probably hit it again with this same color in this front area here. It's a little bit too wet to mess with it right now. Probably going to mess it up if I'm not careful. But if I use thicker paint and less water, get the water out of the brush. Sort of feather it over to make it lighter as it goes to the right here. Okay. Stop. All right, that's good enough for that. This is dry over here now. I think I'm going to come back and put the top on this building. Put the eaves in over here, the things that I sort of left out. And we'll go from there. I think I want some more purple in here. Let me get some of this junk out of the palette. I got too much junk, need to clean it out every once in a while. End up with mud if you're not careful. That's a good start. Okay, purple, purple, ultra purple. There we go. Ultra purple is a beautiful color. And I'm going to touch it over here. And if I just come over this, I already have some brown on there. Okay, that gives me a nice, very nice edge. I'm going to touch this over here where I laid the palm of my hand in it. This happens way too much. Painting right to left. Painting vertically is part of the problem because I like to lay my hand down and it gives me a little more stability, but you can't always do that when you paint vertically. All right, let's put something under here that looks like a little bit of the eave. All right, let's put some more of this here. Like, get some dark, a little darker brown. We need something to show this is an eave here, or at least some boards. Something like that. Put it in there. Okay, something like that. I'm just touching the bottom of this with some really dark paint and letting it move around as it will. And it's putting a little shadow there. I'm going to come back and put a really nice shadow underneath it in a few minutes as that dries, but I want to leave it like that for now. Okay, and front of this building. Now this front of the building is lighter than this actual color here, which we use this little bit of this neutral tint along with some ultra blue. Got a nice color, but I really thinned it out so that it was really, really light. So let's see what we can do here without getting too much trouble. Okay, it's a different color than the paint below it. Probably needs to have a little more dark in it, but let's use clear water and wash it down here and see if it works here, like this. Oh yeah. I'm just going to paint right over these windows for now. I'm going to come back and put something dark on top of them. As it moves to the right, I'm going to get it a little darker. Top, actually, I'm going to put a nice shadow under here so I don't worry too much about it. But I want to put in some of this color. Take my brush, dry brush, take some water, clear water, and make a graded wash, which leaves a nice looking, sort of looks masonry-like, like a stucco type of color. I think I want to highlight this a little bit because it's not standing out like I want to. Soften the edge. Okay, now I'm going to cover all this up with a dark, as I said, use a purple color. I'm going to put a nice shadow underneath there. All right, let's go down and look at this other beams down here, or not beams, but these posts. You have to have some color on them a little bit. A little color here and a little color there. Should be similar in color. They're still fairly light because the sun is hitting them. The post below. Most of these buildings have, when they sit around and get have a sort of a muddy consistency at the bottom because of splashes and things like that from dirt splashing up when it rains, particularly if it's not a paved walkway. If it's a gravel or dirt path, it can have this sort of look at the bottom like this. And then we move up and make it turn into the color that we want the rest of the post to look like. Something like that. Okay, so those two posts are in. Not going to do too much more with that, I think. I'll put some shadows on that. I got a lot of shadow work to do with the purples here after a while with my round brush. Let's see here. Underneath, that's dry. Okay, underneath here is probably a similar color to what's on the other side. Over here, so I'm going to use something like it. Under here it has to get really dark. This is my first pass and I will be making it darker than this, but I want to get this color on. Paint around that job. Leave a little light area here because that's going to be lighter. Get some something like this. Okay, inside there, that's going to have to still be darker, but I'll stop for now and put a little more dark in there, but that's a start. Same way over here. Now I'm doing some negative painting around these bushes, trees. I'm going to bring those back in. So I'm painting the outside edge of those trees so that when I put some paint over it, it will look like there are trees in front of that wall. This needs to be darker up here, and then fade it down like this. So the bottom is right here. Over here, we got some more negative painting to do. Corner of the brush, corner of my 1/2-inch flat. I still am only using this flat brush. Haven't used any round brush at all yet. Getting some interesting pooling of the water here that's going to make a real nice dark over the top of that. I keep looking at the top of this little roof over here, and I think it's standing out too much, so I'm going to just tone it down by putting a light wash over that and get rid of that. I don't want it to stick out. I don't mind it being lighter, but I don't want it to take my eye up there, and I keep looking up there. So if I keep looking up there, I know somebody else will keep looking up there. Okay. While I'm thinking about that, maybe I'm going to touch in some of this shadow beside these guys over here. This is the side of this beam. So that's all that paint around it's dry. I can just kind of come in and just take a swoop down like this. And I've put the side of that beam in without any trouble. Okay, that's going to work. Okay, over here I didn't really have much, but I will fill that in. All right. So much for that. Let me see here. That's still wet. Can't mess with it. This is still wet. Let's look at the top of this little wishing well over here. I've got a big bush of some kind with some nice lavender purple, but I have this color that I want to put down on top. It's the top of a brick surface on top of this. So I'm going to just start putting in here what I think would look like the brick surface of the top of this well. It probably was a well for water at one time, but it probably has turned into a wishing well of some sort. Change the color a little bit, bring it a little darker maybe as we come forward around here. I'm just picking up some whatever colors in my palette that looks a little darker than that. Okay, put this out like that. And that might make it right there. Stop and look at it and see what we think. Okay, now the surface of this outside of this thing is really, and I'm going to have some negative painting around this thing as well because I want to have some flowers sticking up, and leaves, some bushes, etc., etc. A little bit too dark, but if it's too dark, what do? Put something lighter in it, lighten it up, see if that works. Okay. We'll have when I'm quiet, I'm concentrating. Okay, something like that. We can come back and touch some things in it look like blocks and bricks and stuff in there in a few minutes. Okay, so that, oops, I forgot the color that's on the other side of this post. See if I can put it in here without getting it too wide. There we go. Okay. That should be fairly straight. If I can make it straight, best way is to use the edge of a flat brush. And it works. Okay, so I got that in. I may want to darken that down a little bit too, but right now I'm satisfied with it. Over here, what have I got? I've got some, I need to darken this edge so we don't end up having people look over there all the time. To get a good dark, other than using my neutral tint, I'm going to use this Cupric green with some alizarin, or Crimson Lake it's called in this palette. I'm getting a dark green, greenish, brownish, a little more green in there. These are staining colors. Okay, so over here, I'm going to paint around. I'm going to have something that's fairly dark because I want to make it look like the trees and stuff behind it, but they're more in shade. So I'm going to just come down here and put in some things that look like we got some bushes in here again. And I will fill that in later with a lighter color. But in the meantime, we'll use this really dark stuff and come all the way down. These are nice bushes, got some interesting flowers and so forth. Okay, and it will come down to about that line there. Okay, now, I don't know if that's going to be dark enough, but I'm going to just drop in some dark green color in some spots. If I take a little red, that sort of neutralizes it. It sort of turns it more gray, I guess, but at least I'll have some other colors in there besides just green or gray. And it will echo some of the colors in the painting from other spots. And I think that's going to do it right there. Okay, so I'm all set up to put in my viney stuff that goes in here. I've got viney stuff that goes in here. I need to put in something inside here, which is inside this well, which is the rusty color, but it's darker. So if this is dry, I think I can come back now and put in this inside layer. Still needs to be darker. Something like this. A little touch of it goes out here. Not much, but it does wrap around that post, or it comes out on the other side of this post. Okay, so it comes right down to the top. I have some interesting colors in there. It's not all one color. And I will put a shadow under here because this is the lip of that top, brick top that sits there. Something like that. Okay, pull it down a little bit, get ourselves some runniness, which makes a lot nicer looking wall, or something that has brick in it. When I come back and put some brick over that, it'll look hopefully like I want it to. Put all of this in there. All right. Okay, this is going to be light. Trees and bushes there. I've got shadows inside these arches, trees, windows, foreground, some trees in the background, and I'll be finished. But I think I'm going to stop now, take another break. We've gone about 30 minutes, and I will stop and be back in a few.